You're going to find yourself getting passed by multiple cars, as I mentioned earlier on, so you are in a very precarious situation, but the operative finds himself in these places, doesn't qualify as well as he races. Only
Up front, they are getting with Lee Aberdeen and Luca Varani, not very far apart at all here, but I just want to see how Alistair Haight deals with Marcello Kessler coming around the old hairpin.
And I would say it's not the best decision they've ever made, just not having done that under the safety car, really.
Yeah, they're taking their pit stop strategies from Ferrari lately or something. What's going on?
In turn one, just too much gas on them, too much feet on the loud pedal, and unfortunately he's dropped him all the way down the order, but Philip Hammer is out in front by an 8.91 seconds. Oh, Dan Michael is a wall there, sir. And it definitely doesn't want to be hitting that earlier on as well.
Typical, the understeer is in the dirty air through that final corner because it's such a long corner and you get dragged off into the grass very easily. He'll have the slipstream down it towards the chicane. Peterson was briefly alongside, but that slipstream has saved him and kept him in third.
Yeah, Varani now lost a little bit of time to Aberdeen, about half a second. Peterson is Pike's pushed more and forward up ahead. He's got out of line. Is now Pike going to have a go at Werrell? Don't push him off. He's in the championship fight. Jack Werrell chasing down Carl Jacklin. Further down, Rob Williams and Chris Barnes.
Sensational run outside line now though for the heavy braking zone. Around the outside goes the Audi R8.
Look how much Miller's come back into play. Exactly, Miller's still start dropping. He's not on second and change. All of a sudden, Miller's back in play.
Moving on to the back end of Phil Jocelyn. So there's been a lot of movers and shakers in this first 2 laps here for race.
Absolutely serious racing league. Everybody's a lot have fun. Yeah, and it's all about the entertainment. So I hope everybody is enjoying themselves out there in the chat. We know that Ron is enjoying himself watching. The Burger King machine's off into the grass a little bit there as they're really bunching up now.
Does he have it? Medeiros is going to get it. Medeiros is going to toss it. They haven't got it.
He's on the outside line though, going into the fastest corner on the circuit. Surely this can't work.
Dominic Ligner has got a sensational run outside line now though for the heavy braking zone. Around the outside goes the Audi R8.
Look how much Miller's come back into play. Exactly. Miller's still start trouble. He's not on second and change. All of a sudden, Miller's back in play.
Can Barry do it? Big Barry's going to do it. Big Barry!
Back to JP Broadcasting and of course to another round of the JPB Euro Sprint Cup. We're here of course for another round. We're taking to the Nurburgring, of course the full Grand Prix circuit, and with the slightly tighter chicane variant as well. My name is Zach Sweeney. I'm going to be alongside James Parfitt here in the commentary booth to talk you through each and every single bit of racing action. 2 20-minute races and of course the reverse grid for race number 2 coming up. And James, of course, with how things are racking up in the championship, this round could be a turning point.
Yeah, it definitely could be as well. And I think overall, these guys are going to have to really try and put the effort in and make sure they can get points on the board and make sure they can get going this time around, because it's now going to be very, very interesting to see how this develops. I'm really looking forward to this one. I think it should be a good one. Circuit itself, well, that's up for debate, isn't it? People love it, people hate it. And, well, either way, they're going to get through it. So let's see how they get on here today.
And of course, we spoke about those close championships. I definitely weren't lying. Let's take a quick look as to how things rack up in the pros. And as I say, weren't lying at all. Dan Mould leading Adam Delmont by a mere 2 points in that fight for the lead. 163 to just 161. Adam McNally and John Brown, of course, complete the top 4. SRL Next Gen, of course, with both teams, Next Gen, of course, Next Gen Gold, rocking out the top 4. They are absolutely dominating this season. Kim Andrew Bjorklund rounds off the top 5, only 10 points behind John Brown. Then comes Nick Kirstens, Fraser Garrity and Carl Jacklett the next few. Carl Jacklett, I have to say, doing a really good job up there with the pros inside the top 10. Then comes Paddy Faulkner, Stephen Van Camden, and of course, JB Deju, unfortunately, not having the best of seasons. A very different affair, though, in terms of competitiveness for the AMs. Dan Paples, of course, leading with a staggering 162 points, which is, of course, about 28 clear of Cooper Akers in second place. Then comes Kev Aylett, 3 points behind that. So at least the fight for second is very, very close. Stuart Gibbons, Scott Malcolm, the top 5. And then, of course, behind that, Derek Crowther, Chris van der Linde in 6 and 7. Billy Mole, Paolo Brem and Chris Barnes round off the top 10. But in very hot pursuit is Gary McFarlane there in P11 as well. And, well, I weren't lying when it came to the teams either, really. Of course, with SRL Next Gen and SRL Next Gen Gold fighting for the Pro Teams Championship, they're only separated by 12 points. The 2 Adams in Next Gen Gold leading the way on 287 ahead of John Brown and of course, Dan Mould in second in the second SRL car. Simrace Sweden, of course, doing a really good job on their debut season as the team in third, with DCW Racing Faulkner PCs and, of course, Simrace Norway in 5th. Insignia Motorsport, Photo Media and BSTV, of course, all individual solo entries to the Teams Championship, so understandably maybe not doing as strongly. And then, of course, we get to the AMs, which once again, not as close as you'd expect. A 40-point gap between Simrace Sweden Esports, TART, and then, of course, Blade Designs. Again, not too far behind. I mean, only 8 points behind that fight for second. Sham Racing and Blade Designs round off the top 5. But the big talking point there, James, I think, is, of course, Mould and Delmont separated by just 2 points in the Pro Team standings.
Yeah, they were always going to be close together. And I think at the end of the day, it's going to be a very, very interesting run-in for these guys. You know, we know how quick Mould is. We know how quick Delmont is from other series as well. And the fact that there are only 2 points between them, I think it's really going to open it up to who is going to make sure that they do get points on the board. They've got 2 races to do it, so it's an opportunity for them to get points on the board, but we'll have to see how they get on here as well.
They've been trading wins essentially all season long and have really demonstrated both of their talents. Of course, I think this season in particular has been a big learning curve for Adam Delmont. We've seen him before fighting at the top level of championships and things, and has really lacked sort of that mercilessness nature that you need to have. But going up against Dan Mould and, of course, Pete Newman in the Clios this season, for those who don't watch that on a Monday night, definitely should, really has sort of toughened him up as such. And in all fairness to him, I don't really think there's much better of an adversary to toughen him up than Dan Mould has done this season.
Yeah, I think Dan Mould is Dan Mould. We know he's how he is. He drives how he is. He gets it in there. He gives people fights. He doesn't allow them to sit back and chill out and just sort of nestle in. It's, you know, it's a big move for Adam Dalmont to try and battle him. And at the end of the day, I think he's going to have a bit of a tough challenge on his hands here this evening as well. So we're going to see how it gets on. We are going into qualifying as we speak now. So let's see how these guys do here.
Yeah, and we spoke about Nürburgring as a circuit. As a whole, I don't mind it. I've always enjoyed it as a circuit to sort of drive. It's always had a nice flow about it. In terms of overtaking opportunity, though, sometimes it can be difficult. I've always found it's either a really exciting race or a really dull race, and there's not really much in between. You've got a run into turn one, a couple of heavy braking zones here and there, but all in all, what do we think about track position as a whole? How do we think the TCRs are going to cope in terms of a race dynamic?
It's a difficult one because this circuit has been known to provide, as we say, very racing. Not the greatest. But I think these guys, there's no real... I wouldn't say there was a corner on here that these guys are not going to be able to put the car alongside. I think that's the thing. And I think they will work on that and they will make the overtakes, but I think overall they're going to have to be a little bit sensible. That's all I'm going to say on that situation, because I think they will need to be a little bit sensible about it.
A certain aura of caution, maybe, and of course they have got to be on their best behaviour because they've got a couple of stewards eyeballing them for the entire race, so nothing really is going to get swept under the rug as such this evening. Trialling, of course, that live stewarding for this event, and that means that when they're naughty, James, they get the punishment very quickly.
Yeah, the punishment will come out straight away. They will be told what they have to do, and they will be notified there as well. We are just trialling it for this evening to see how it works, but if it's something that works and everybody's happy and the system itself is in place and that, then we may bring it in for the continuance of the rest of the season. But let's just see how it gets on, I think, here as well this evening.
Yeah, I think it's definitely not a bad idea. Of course, things can then be decided during the race. No one's... Obviously, for the most part, things are still going to be left up for discussion, I'm sure, post-race. But the big thing is that you're punished in the race. You can then sort of act on it in the present. And then also people are given the clarity as soon as possible. And we sort of piece together a bigger picture as soon as we can as well. I don't necessarily see a deduction from the series in terms of live stewarding. However, of course, making sure we have got people present week in, week out might be, might be a little bit difficult. But as an idea, I don't really see anything wrong with it. So I think it might be a very promising prospect in terms of bettering the sort of the disciplinary side of things in the touring cars. Let's focus on qualifying. 12 minutes left to go. Of course, a fairly long lap here at the Nürburgring, of course, 5.07 kilometers. In these touring cars, probably going to be looking in excess of about maybe 2 minute 20-ish, probably around about that in terms of lap time, give or take maybe a few seconds. So realistically, a 15-minute qualifying is only going to be broken down into a few laps.
Yeah, it definitely is, and they've just got to make sure that they get it right. I think that's the thing. If they don't get it right, then they're going to have to go again, and that's going to be a problem for some people here as well. They've just got to make sure that they do get this nailed the first time, or as we say in general, get a banker lap in, get something that can give you a time where you're not going to be at the back here either. Do you know what I mean? To get like a banker lap in like they do in F1 as such, where you are not just sort of struggling, you've got a time on the board, and I think that's something that these guys will have to just look out for.
Yeah, of course, with it being kind of high pressure as such, because as we say, a long lap, 15 minutes is nothing. By the time you've done your out lap, you've lost down to 12 minutes, and then by the time you've done your first flyer, it's almost effectively half the session is gone. So really, you've got to be on it straight away, and as you say, putting in that banker lap time doesn't have to be the quickest lap in the world, doesn't have to break any lap records, doesn't have to go purple into any sectors. Something that if things go wrong, you can fall back on and say, at least I've got a lap. It doesn't need to be the lap, it just needs to be a lap, something that you can then improve on, something that the little slider in iRacing can sort of gauge your lap time from and sort of tell you if you're positive or negative in the delta. It then allows you, it alleviates that pressure and allows you to push later on in the session when it is do or die, when things are really getting squeaky bum time in the session. As it stands though, January Bjorklund sets the benchmark, but Adam Delmont blows that out the water, first man into the 2:08, and he is here to make a statement this evening, because obviously we're into the second half of the season and that fight with Dan Mold isn't going to go away. He needs to be staking his claim and marking his territory as the top dog.
Yeah, he definitely does, and I'm going to be interested to see how Delmont handles this. I will be very interested to know how he's going to do it. We know at times there seems to be a failure in his kind of process, and something goes wrong at certain times of the evening that then ends up having to, for him to get, he gets overtaken, doesn't he, on the final lap, and then we're going to be sitting there thinking, what's going to happen here? But I don't know. I think overall he's just got to make sure that he's decisive. He's got to make sure that he is definitive in what he's doing, and I think for him that's a big thing, and I think that could be a big change for him to try and do that as well. So yeah, I'm interested to see how this one works. I think for him it's definitely going to be something that could work in his favour if he could just be up there at the front right at the beginning. I think that will work in his favour. So yeah, definitely interested to see how this one works.
For sure, they've battled hard for the season that has been. Of course, we start the season all the way back on the 5th of Jan when we headed, I should say. It was a weird way to do the past tense of head. Anyway, where we headed to Catalunya, we went to the Redbull Imola Zandvoort, of course, 2 weeks ago. Hungaroring last week. We'll yet to go to Motorland, Aragon, Monza, Magny, Cours, Jerez and Zolder for the last round of the season. So still plenty of gems, still a lot of variety to come, and still plenty of opportunities for this championship to swing either way.
Yeah, definitely. That's the thing. They're not, they've got the schedule there, and I'd be interested to see how they handle it as well, because I think sometimes it can be a little bit confusing for people. I think at the end of the day, they've just got to get in the practice. A lot of this is practice, right? Motorland Aragon is going to be very interesting. It's their outer loop. It doesn't have the janky bit at the back or the touring car circuit in the middle. Monza without the first chicane. We know how quick that's going to be as well. Magny Cours, yeah, that's going to be an interesting one. Not everybody's favourite with Jerez after that as well. And then Zolder GP. So, yeah, I'm excited. I think everybody else should be as well. I think you should sit at home, get your drinks, get your popcorn, sit back, relax and enjoy this one, because I think it's going to be a good one.
Halfway through this qualifying session then, and of course, before we head ourselves into 2 20-minute races, of which the second one is a reverse grid, of course, set by the finishing order of race number 1. So there's always drama around the corner, and always an interesting dynamic, isn't it? Because there are 2 ways to win a championship. You start at the front and you just run away and finish in front. But there aren't always going to be times where you start from pole and get a clean start. You have to obviously work your way through a pack. You have to make some overtakes. You have to go for those do or die moments. And having this reverse grid 2 race format really allows these drivers to demonstrate both attributes.
Yeah, absolutely. You're never going to get it right the first time. As much as you would love to think you can, it doesn't always happen, right? We know that. We've seen it, and that's the thing. It's just being able, simple thing of getting it off the start could be an issue. So I think overall, they've just got to make sure that they are absolutely burying everything that they can do here. Give it your best opportunity, give it your best shot, and try and go for it. And I think that's how it should work.
Yep, indeed. So just, again, chuck moves to the inside, send it. Doesn't work, then, oh well, just you only live once. I'm sure is maybe the mentality of a couple of drivers out there on circuit who might be going for some very peculiar moves tonight. And to be fair, sometimes you do have to get quite creative with it. Dan Mold, as it stands, tops the timesheets 2:07.8. As it stands, is over 6 of a second quicker than championship rival Adam Delmont. Seeing again a couple of more quick times being put in. January Bjorklund topped by Adam Delmont, who now goes within 1/4 of a second of Dan Mold. While it's closer, I would argue that is nowhere near close enough.
No, I think you're right. I think at the end of the day, he's got to try and get closer to him. He's got to make sure that he is close enough as well to put him under pressure. it's not easy, right? We know that, and at the end of the day, we know that it's never straightforward. It's not an easy process, but you've just got to try and make sure that you can at least get near him and get that, put him under pressure and make sure that he's got something to think about. Because if he doesn't have something to think about, he'll just run away with it. And then you're sitting there going, well, you know, he's won again. Well, yeah, but you haven't put him under pressure. What are you expecting? It's literally just had free reign. So see how it goes, I think, on that one.
The thing I've always praised Dalmont with is his overtaking opportunities. I mean, the way that he handles reverse grid races, both in the Clios and in these touring cars, is always sort of almost second to none as such. He gets a good punchy start and he works his way through the field nice and efficiently, so much so that his championship rivals, say Pete Newman in the Clios or Dan Mould in the touring cars as such, by the time they've worked their way through the field and maybe got within 1 or 2 positions of Dalmont, they're 4 or 5 seconds behind him thanks to the speed in which Dalmont's sort of been able to get through. Always a redeeming factor for him, always sort of an opportunity for him to either make up a deficit that he's lost in race 1, maybe due to poor qualifying or bottling on the last lap like he usually does, or just a bit of bad luck. He's then able to make back those points.
He's going to watch his back, Zach, and think, what? That little cheeky rascal there as well.
But he's right.
Yeah.
That's what he's going to say. He's cheeky, but he's right.
Yeah, you're right. I think you are right. He will sit back and say that. And there has been times that where you kind of think, look, at the end of the day, come on, Adam, you can do it. You're not ridiculous. You're not a bottler. You can put the effort in, you know. And I think he will do well, and I'm hoping that he does do well. And I think overall it's going to be very, very interesting there as well. Craig Jones in YouTube chat. Lisa said, keep the noise down. We're trying to have a conversation. That is because his wife is on the phone to my wife currently, so they're going to be there probably till the end of the broadcast.
Lovely. Good for them. I initially thought Craig was on about having a conversation with your wife.
No, he'll probably come in YouTube chat, go, yeah, I am talking to her and all that. He's not. It's his wife chatting to my wife. So you can disregard his nonsense that he'll probably come out with about some form of something. It ain't happening. His wife is talking to my wife. I've already seen them two talking on the phone. So, you know.
How lovely.
Yeah, I know. It's what happens when you introduce wives to each other.
They get to slate you and Craig off to each other. It's great.
Yes.
Yeah, that's the fun of it. I suppose all for me to come. I suppose the joys of being young so far. I suppose.
Yeah, well, you haven't got a wife or kids or anything like that. You know what I mean? You're not discussing days out with friends and stuff. So, you know, you're living life at the moment. You know, we're in our prime.
Well.
You having a baby, Zach?
No.
I was gonna say
no. This wasn't the big announcement, and if it wasn't, no.
I thought we were gonna get a JPB exclusive.
Oh no. No, definitely not. I handed my notice in 2 weeks, James. We're not having a baby. No. At least I hope not.
I'll be the godfather. You'll be fine.
Oh, brilliant! Yeah, that is brilliant. That my baby would be loving life. No, I'm just saying.
Be careful. Your baby will be loving life. Thank you very much.
Yeah, just bring up the good old Sweeney Jr. He'd probably still win a simi before I did.
Yeah, probably before me and you.
We'd be nominated all the same years, and yet he'd just come in and steamroll it. But it's fine. Anyway. 1 minute 22 left to go in the qualifying session, which means that basically if you're not towards the tail end of your lap now, it is going to be difficult for you to, of course, finish your lap time. So, of course, Paolo Brem not going to get a chance to finish. Dan Mould in the pit lane is not going to get a chance to finish either. John Brown picks his way up into 3rd place. Pretty decent stuff as well within 4 attempts of pole position. It's all on Adam Dalmont, though, to see if he can get pole.
Yeah, Billy Moe, I think, is going to be the last person realistically to be able to get a lap in. I'm not sure if Kev Ailick can actually get a lap in here as well. He's got about 45 seconds and he's still got that's going to be really quite close actually for Kev Ailick, whether or not he's going to bury that final lap there as well. But definitely not, you know, Kim Andre Bjorklund is and Adam Dalmont's not. and also Paolo Brem are definitely not. So, yeah, overall, I'm really looking forward to this one. Phil, you have me. Zach, slag you off, he said.
Cheers, Phil. Always can rely on you, mate. Absolutely brilliant. Awesome. Kev could have finished that lap, but I think he might be opting not to. Yeah, he doesn't take it to the end. So 16th is the best for him. We'll, of course, run you through the grid as soon as we can. But what we can say is that Dan Mould takes a big step, of course, in that championship by taking pole position and sort of staking a claim ahead of Adam Dalmont on the front row.
Yeah, I agree. He's taken it by quite a chunk as well, nearly 2 tenths. So for Adam, he's got to really now figure it all out. But there's a grid for you, sir.
Dan Mould then taking pole position from number 6 here at the Nurburgring. Championship rival Adam Dalmont will join him alongside ahead of John Brown and Adam McNally. So, of course, top 4 in the championship, rounding off the top 4 in the grid today. Kim Andrew Bjorklund and Dec Crowther keep each other company on row 3 ahead of Nick Kirstens and Carl Jacklet in 7th and 8th. Chris Barnes, 2nd place in the AMS ahead of Billy Mole, who rounds off the top 10. Ahead of Scott Malcolm and Stuart Gibbons on row number 6. Of course, beyond that, we've still got plenty more drivers to come. Fraser Garrity and Cooper Akers on row 7. Paolo Brem rounds off the top 15. Kev it was close to finishing his final lap in qualifying, but only good enough for 16th in the end. The Dutchman of Van Campden ahead of fellow Dutchman of Van der Linde, 17th and 18th. JB Deju and Kevin Delaunay, the 20 car field that we've got here this evening. 20 minutes on the clock for race number 1, James. What are we thinking?
I'm thinking if Adam Dalmont could get it off the start, he may be a force. But he's got to get it off the line and he's got to get it into turn 1 first. That's the theory. Because if he doesn't, he's going to struggle. Personally, I think Dan might be just too quick for him. I'm not going to lie. I think Dan, when it comes into touring cars, he's a different breed. So let's see how he gets on.
Indeed, so moments away then from getting this race underway. And I think we're right. I think this race is going to be, well, at least for Adam Dalmont, it's going to be punchy start. Otherwise, it's going to be so easy for Dan Mould to, of course, run away out in front. 20 cars, of course, on this field. The 5 red lights will pop up in just a few moments' time. I believe we've got everyone ready to go. Just waiting for Delaunay.
He might be here. He's on race control.
Of course, yeah. So he's okay. That's fine then. So we should have everyone in, and well, no, we won't actually, because Delaunay still counts the driver, so we're gonna have to wait for the timer to stick down. But it does mean they're gonna be sat for a while. Here they go though. 5 red lights are gonna come up. Mould versus Dalmont on that run in towards number 1, round number 6 of the JPB Touring Car Cup here at the Nürburgring is underway. A good launch initially from the front row for the pair of them. I think they are going to go side by side. Adam Dalmont catapults himself, I think, narrowly just ahead of Dan Mould. He's going to assume the outside into turn number 1. You can see McNally and Brown, and also Kim Andrew Bjorklund trying to make the move to the inside as well. John Brown tumbling down to 5th, but Adam Dalmont getting the perfect start, taking lead, taking control. Here comes as well Dan Mould versus McNally through turn number 2.
Yeah, McNally needs to get along, get up there. He needs to get in front of Mould. He really does, and be able to cover off and give Dalmont some help here. He needs to push and push and push, preferably not pushing round, of course. We all know that's not a good idea, as we've got Kim Andre Bjorklund from the Sim Racing Norway team. He's trying to make moves at the moment as well. There's been an incident at the back with Scott Malcolm. I'm wondering if that was Fraser Garrity and Scott Malcolm there as well. And we can have a quick look back while they are trying to complete lap 1 here on that one. So Garrity's running outside.
Oh, I don't know about that one. I don't know about that one, Chief.
Well, that's one for the stewards to start off with straight away here as well. There was a big old send there from McNally on that one.
It was a very touch and go start for sure, but the stewards will be definitely earning their money first and foremost in straight into the deep end here today. Through the Schumacher races for the first time, it's Dalmont from Mould, McNally and Bjorklund, the top 4, so the Norwegian getting a really good start and moving his way forward quite nicely. Then you've got Brown just in behind, who's having to deter Nick Kirstens from going for a move into this fast left-hander at the back end of the circuit before they swoop their way through the right. A very fun corner to get right, and then you slam the foot down to the floor. I have to say to Dalmont, he's done a really good job to build a 6/10 gap in the opening lap, considering he was a quarter of a second behind in Quali.
Yeah, I think at the end of the day, he got the start. I think that was it for him. He got the start like he had to for Dalmont, and he's building on it. He's got Dalmont behind. He's got Adam McNally dropping it off a little bit, but McNally's under pressure from Bjorklund. So I think for McNally at the moment, he's just really trying to hold Bjorklund back as best as he can. Zach, because I think that's going to be the thing. They've got to make sure that they're holding him back as best as we can to make sure that he doesn't start coming forward on him. So I think overall, Dalmont's done what he needed to do. Let's just see and hope that he might be able to get away.
I don't think that's going to be the case, though. The slipstream, very strong. Mold, of course, very eager and clearly very quick here at the Nurburgring. But for now, I wouldn't put it past them to work together as such, which is so strange. Championship rivals, neck and neck for the lead in the race and also the lead in the championship. Only 2 points between them. And yet I'm saying they should work together completely 100%. They should get away from Adam McNally as best they can. Of course, for Dalmont, maybe wants to sort of feed Mold into McNally. They are all sort of teammates as such, but also not really. So maybe Dalmont wants to back Mold up into McNally, who can then battle with Mold and then allow Dalmont to get away. Or, as a collective, they can just go and run with it and get as far away from the rest of the pack as possible, because with how close this midfield is, from basically McNally in 3rd down to Paolo Brem in 13th, there's just over a second gap between Dec Crowther and Billy Mold. Not much to separate them at all, so much so that if Dalmont and Mold were to fight, it would almost be a bloodbath for things to go wrong. Kim-Andre Bjorklund, by the way, moves his way up into 3rd. A nice move to the inside of Dunlop sees him get ahead of McNally going into the Schumacher S.
Yeah, Kim-Andre Bjorklund has got through on Adam McNally. Now he's going to set after the guys in front, Dalmont and also Mold. Of course, Bjorklund new into the series this season. He's done an absolutely stellar job since he's been here. John Brown pressurising McNally as well. We've got the lead in the AMs up for the fight. Chris Barnes and Dec Crowther, they're not very far apart here either. There's battles all the way through. Scott Malcolm has just come out the pits. Paolo Brem is battling away. He's trying to get through on Kev Halick currently at the moment, just as we see a person running wide. I think that's JB Deju running wide there as well, not having the greatest of start to his season. Chris van der Linden from the Sim Racing Sweden Esports Academy team, he's just about to go up the inside of Fraser Garrity there, and that's an AM and a pro fight here as well. So action all the way through. Nice close racing all the way through here as well, as that is, I believe, Cooper Akers going into the pits. But Adam Dalmont racing through with Dan Mold still out in front, Bjorklund closing him down.
I have to say, really impressed with the Norwegian's pace so far in this race. Of course, started 5th, now into the top 3. And let's see what his pace is going to be like. Maybe the first to lead a charge if these two begin to battle. But for now, Dalmont in control. Mold, they're getting very, very close to the rear end of him. Fastest lap that last time by 2:08.3, so just under a tenth of a second quicker than Dalmont. So definitely trying to show his arsenal as sort of early on as possible and sort of fill the mirrors and tell Dalmont that he is firmly not going anywhere.
Yeah, Dalmont's just got to drive, do the Dalmont thing, drive the car, make sure he can get through, make sure he's able to stay in front of him. You know, he's gonna have Mold up behind him. We've got Carl Jacklett, Nick Kirsten's running side by side as well as they're coming down into the Dunlop curve here. Jackett's got the inside line if he's just later on the brakes. He's not. Kirsten's has run wide though. That's going to allow Jacklett to come out side by side. You can also see John Brown and Adam McNally. Here's that going side by side as well.
Yeah, into the Schumacher S, very, very close momentarily. McNally and Brown, though, both of them sort of being caught with their pants around their ankles by Kim-Andre Bjorklund. Bit of a look of intent from Dan Mold to the inside of Dalmont. No way through on that particular occasion, but less than 0.2 of a second separating them in that fight for the lead. Could we see a change by the time they reach the chicane? I mean, Dan Mold is only going to be closing and closing. Willie inevitably pull out and go for that move onto the brakes. I think Dalmont definitely feeling the pressure, going defensive, but the space might open up here for Mold, who's going to duck and dive and search for the space, but the outside, not the way to go into this chicane. Dalmont certainly under pressure.
Yeah, he is. Mold's not giving him an inch of room here, I can tell you that much. But the more these guys are fighting, do you know the interesting thing is they're fighting, but they're managing to extend on the guys behind. Which just goes to show how much pace they actually have got. Because as we normally know, when you guys start fighting, the guys behind start closing in, right? And for Kim-Andre Bjorklund, his time's going out, not inwards. And these guys are having a right old ding-dong as John Brown and Adam McNally are coming down towards us here as well. Chris Barnes in the TCRs, he's in the Audi. He's been taking some lessons as Chris and has advanced his pace as well. But Dan Mold and Adam Dalmont now going near enough side by side through the Mercedes arena as they're coming around turn 3.
Yeah, and Mold, again, just I think he's just trying to set it up more than anything. I mean, it's always going to be difficult to do one move in one corner in isolation. It's all about doing the 2 sort of corners beforehand, using that to set yourself up, setting them in deep, making your intentions known, throwing them off their game a little bit, just so then when you do inevitably go for that move into the isolated 1 corner, you've backed yourself up with those 2 corners. That's allowed you sort of to close that gap, gain that momentum. And now Dan Mould might be eyeing up the move to the inside of Dunlop. The space might open up, but you can see Dunlop not phased by it at all, really V's off the corner as to try and maximize his exit. And he's doing a really good job of that, James, is being quick exactly where he needs to.
Yeah, he definitely is. He needs to be careful leaving that big old V, though, because Dan Mould's not going to be afraid to stick it up there. And as we know with these TCRs, once they start turning, you're not going to be able to stop them turning. It's going to be contact all the way. So they've got to make sure that with Adam Dalmont, he does it, but he does it in a way that doesn't leave the door wide open for Dan to go and stick his nose up the inside. You could also say the same for the AMG Arena as well, because you can take 2 different lines through there. So you can take the wider line to come in later, or you can take the inner line to run the tighter line. But if you take the outer line, you're leaving yourself open to a dive up the inside at the moment.
Outside line, then Dan Mould once again into the chicane, but once more Dalmont holding firm, a little bit wide through the second part though, and well, let's see who's going to be the one to get on top. Mould once again chucking the move if he's going to be able to. I mean, again, the agility on the outside is sensational from Dalmont through that final corner. Not really something that you often see. Only a 1/10 of a second separating them now as we head towards the second half of this race, and as soon as the opportunity arises for him to cut across, he does into the braking zone for turn 1. Let's see who's going to be the one to come out on top of this time.
Yeah, they are having a ding-dong, and we said the time was going out, but it's now not. It's dropped to second now and coming down to nearly a second behind with Kim on Bjorklund, Adam McNally and JB there as well, John Brown of course. So these guys are getting reeled in slowly here. This could turn into a 5-6 car fight at the moment if they're not careful, but they are still just going at it hell to leather, which is what we like to see here as well. Carl Jacklett is mixed up in his own little battle at the moment with Dec Crowther and Chris Barnes. You can see them in the background there as well, but Dan Mould takes the inside and he gets the job done going into turn 6.
Yeah, really good stuff there from Dan Mould. Waited so long, of course, to finally press the button and go for the move. It was well defended from Dalmont, who now, of course, has the hard job of maybe going for that counter-attack. But with the battling that they have been doing, they've reeled in the rest of the top 5. Bjorklund, McNally, Brown, all on site now, ready to fight, contest for a podium, second place, maybe even a win if the opportunity arises. And I'd say this is going to make Dalmont's counter-attack that much more difficult, because Mould had the luxury of having space, being able to take nice wide lines and leave that inside line open as such to set him up for counter-attacks. Dalmont can't do that, because the moment he tries to set up a move on Mould, Bjorklund is going to be there to send the move to the inside.
Yeah, absolutely. He's in that rock and a hard place. Do you defend, but while you're defending, you're not going forward? The guy in front's going to get away. Do you attack and leave yourself open to an attack from the guy behind? It's such a tricky scenario and tricky solution for all of these guys to be in when you're in that mid-pack or in the middle of the pack, I should say, regardless if you're at the front or at the rear. Defending and attacking, it's not something everybody can do.
Definitely isn't. Again, also comes down to circumstance, bit of luck, how you position the car, but at the end of the day, you're the one driving it, you're the one in control, and you're the one who could probably make the best decisions in the heat of the moment, and that is a skill in of itself, one that Dalmont has had to sort of deal with many, many times over the course of his career. Personal best, I think, for Dalmont, a 2:09.6, so very, very strong, but over a second slower than Dan Mould's best lap time. So showcasing that on 1 lap pace, Mould definitely has the advantage. Definitely true in terms of track position at this point as well, but with the top 5 as close as they are, you can't say anything for certain.
Definitely not. We've got Carl Jacklett down here with Dec Crowther. Jacklett's just got overtaken by Chris Barnes, and now Crowther's right behind Jacklett, so I'm not sure if Jacklett's struggling as Barnes is looking at making his way forward. He's got Nick Kirstens now here, and for Barnes, he's got the opportunity, if he wants to have a go, of course, for Crowther. Crowther knows that he seems to be faster than Jacklet, but Jacklet's not making it easy. But then again, we know Jacklet's racecraft, we know his sense, his ability, his all, you know, he's got it all there, and we know he will be able to do it. But I'm sure Chris Barnes is looking up the inside, coming into Dunlop Care, not making it through at the moment. That gap's opened up to 1.15 up front between Dalmont and McNally, so them two now starting to open up again. I think they put the fighting on the back burner for a minute and just looking to open up the gap again.
That's all he really needs to do is, again, bridge the gap, get away from the rest of the pack, and then fight in isolation. So much easier to win this 1v1 as it would be to then, of course, have the rest of the top 5 involved in it as well. So with McNally and Bjorklund potentially with a battle on the horizon, it's going to allow Mould and Delmont to fight their battle as one, and of course a direct fight for the championship. Whoever, of course, comes out on top in this race will then take the lead in the championship. But then, of course, we've got the reverse grid for race number 2 to behold as well. And based on the race ability that we've seen in race 1, I'm sure we're going to see plenty of overtakes going into race 2.
Yeah, it's one of those scenarios where we sit back and we know that there's going to be overtakes happening, and we know that's always the situation. So I don't think we're ever not going to see overtakes, and I don't think we can ever program as to where we're going to see them, because I think pretty much we will see them anywhere, anytime. You know, it's what is it? It's like the Martini advert, isn't it? Anytime, any place, anywhere, and that is how it will happen here. As you can see, Dalmont's trying to come through turn 1 and be a little bit tighter on the entrance into 2 here. So these guys still battling out, 6.5 minutes on the clock. They're probably going to get maybe 3 laps at the most. So let's see how they do.
Yeah, not long left to go at all. Really into the squeaky bum time of the race, and of course where the pressure cooker is turned up to 11. And again, this is where sort of desperation starts to creep in. If you've been waiting for a move, you're running out of time to go for it. With each sort of corner or each lap that passes by is one less potential opportunity for you to make. And with every point counting towards the overall championship, you've really, well, at this point, you've got to be deciding how you can best deal with the final few laps of the race.
Yeah, and I think at the end of the day, it's, do you sit back and think, okay, I'm going to consolidate what I've got and take the points, or do you sit back and think, no, I'm not going to do that. I want to try and get the win. And one man that unfortunately may have just jeopardized himself here is Chris Barnes. Barnesy was flying at one point. He went off the side of the circuit. He has lost a place to Carl Jacklet, so I'll be interested to see how that one has gone down. Oh, well, there you go. Door's wide open there, and Jacklet just goes through on him as well. So all that good work that Barnesy's done, he's now got to try and do it again here.
Yeah, and of course, as we say, we're not long left to go. It's do or die. Make those moves while you can. And again, I think being very cutthroat, very decisive on the brakes. He's searching for that gap, but again, it's just not materializing. Dan Mould is fairly bulletproof, and the gap is just slightly too large at this point for him to really make much meaningful impact. That slipstream, though, really being a helpful assist. They're going to be eyeing up, of course, I think this is going to be the 3rd to last lap. We are just about going to be able to tick into one more. Kim Andre Bjorklund versus John Brown. This is the fight for 4th, potentially 3rd if McNally sort of gets reeled back into play. Jacklet, Barnes, Crowther also very, very close behind Nick Kirstens in that fight for 6th. There are plenty of races to indulge into the over the course of the final couple of laps, but with all eyes, I'd say, probably on that fight between Dan Mould and Adam Delmont.
Yeah, definitely it's got to be, isn't it, at the end of the day? The fight for the win, the fight for taking victory in the first race. It's all these guys battling out for the points. They're at the top. They're doing the job. You know, we've got to keep an eye on them, because at the end of the day, we want to see who comes out. The problem for me is whether or not Delmont's going to have the steelies to go and send it through.
Yeah, it's, again, it's courage, because you've got to, again, sort of trust yourself, trust your ability, trust your car, but also circumstance as well. I mean, you can be as brave as you like, but no one in their right mind is making a move from 5 tenths back. So it's also making sure you're brave when the opportunity arises, and also being skillful enough to make sure that opportunity arises. Because, yeah, I mean, there's always going to be sort of luck involved as such, as to timing and things, making the driver in front make a mistake. But at the end of the day, you are the writer of your own luck. You're the one that's going to carve the narrative of this race. And if you're there making mistakes, driving scruffily, and not making the most of any luck that comes your way, then you're not exactly carving yourself into having the best narratives possible. We are going to momentarily go side by side for the lead, but Mold very cleverly defending nicely ahead of Delmont, who is very, very close into the final corner. Is it going to be enough to launch a move? Definitely not, because it's too sort of quick of a corner as such. 2 minutes 50 to go at the line, 2 to go in this race.
2 laps now. Who's going to be able to get it? Is Mold going to be able to cover off? He's heading over to the wall. He knows he needs to hug that wall tighter than my daughter hugging a teddy bear, I can tell you that much. Now he's peered out. Delmont's going to go round at the outside. Mold looks a little bit scrappy there as well. They're going to be coming. Yeah, Delmont can't get it through. Has he lost his only opportunity though, Zach? That's going to be the question.
I doubt it. Of course, wouldn't have hurt to get the job done there, but I don't think it will be his only opportunity. The raceability of the Nurburgring lends itself to overtaking opportunities like this. All he's got to do is essentially replicate what he did there. Put Mold on the back foot, launch an attack, keep him under pressure. Yes, there's not long left to go. Maybe it's going to be hard to get a decisive opportunity like that once again, but I think there is still ample chance that he comes out on top in this race. So for Mold, it was well defended, but I don't think it's the last time he's going to have to put up such a performance.
We're going to find out very, very shortly here from these guys heading down now into the Dunlop Care. Is he going to be able to get hit here? He's not going to get it. I can't see, unless he's going to take a big old dive going up into the chicane. I can't see him getting through, and that's not me being nasty, that's me just being realistic.
Nah, we're just being nasty. We're always nasty.
Well, some people would say that, yes, Mr. Sweeney.
Yeah, of course. I mean, I don't want to sugarcoat it. I don't know. I like being the one that just says how it is, especially when it comes to Adam Delmont, because why not? It's just funny at this point. Why he puts up with us, I don't know. But again, yeah, we've just got to sort of, as I say, just say how it is and call it how it is. I mean, at the end of the day, that's our job. Just watch what's happening, talk about what's going on. And Delmont, if he wants to win this race, needs to back up his ideas and find a way through, because you don't win championships by playing second fiddle to your biggest rival. No,
definitely not. And there is a 2-point gap, Tom Woodcock, at the moment here as well. Mold is out in front by 2 points over Delmont. So now we're going on to the final lap. This is Delmont's opportunity. We've got Kirstens and Jacqueline there with Chris Barnes in the mix. They're all still fighting out. The lead of the AMS is pretty much done, unless Crowther could do something, well, superlative, should we say. But it is going to be Kirstens and Jacqueline. Oh, he can't stop that. Oh, can he? Oh, well saved, Carl. No, you can't do that. You can't do that.
Well, it was going so well, and sort of until it wasn't. Nick Kirstens will, of course, have to take another look at that to really decide as to what's happened. Timer has ticked 0. This is the final lap of the race. Mold versus Delmont then. 0.2 of a second between the pair of them. All eyes really has to be on that battle. There's the move. Delmont going for it. Close to contact, going into the right-hander here just before Dunlop. Half a lap left to go yet in this race. And, well, Delmont, I think, getting a bit desperate.
Yeah, he is. He's trying, but he's got to. He's got to try. He hasn't got a choice. It's all or nothing. It's do or die. It's do I fail on the last lap again? Am I going to get this? Am I going to lose this again on this lap? And it's looking like he might here as well, because as I say, going up through the Schumacher S's, unless he's going to take a dive going into turn 11 and 12, you don't think he's going to be close enough, unless he goes and really nuzzles his nose in there. Other than that, he's got the Vito chicane, and we know how that turns out when you start going side by side.
Yes, I always think back to ESL R1 with Marcel Chinchik and James Baldwin, because that is just the most vivid example of how things can go wrong at that particular chicane. So Of course, got to be really, really careful, making sure you're positioning the car in the best way possible. This is going to be the final chance, though, for Delmont. Is he just going to go for that do-or-die send? You're not on the brakes for long enough, and it's not exactly the best of chicanes to go for it. Dan Mould, I think, might well be able to hang on to this one. One more corner left to go. He's going to cover it off just for good measure. Is he going to go in too deep, though? The space potentially opening up for Adam Delmont. It's going to be a run to the line between the two championship rivals here for race number 1. I think it might just be Delmont that takes victory narrowly ahead of Adam Delmont. It was a good look in the end, and I'm sure Delmont was, well, sweating all the way across the line, as I believe it's going to be Chris Barnes that wins for the AMS.
Yeah, as Chris Barnes takes the AMS there. Great job from all of them. And Jamie Deju at the back end. He's in 16th place. We've got Scott Malcolm, who's still out on track. Fair play to him there after getting in an incident at the beginning. So unfortunately there, but Scott's still running. Good job. He's well, we're going to have to wait another 2 minutes before we get the results here, because he's all the way round at the Ford curve at turn 7.
Yeah, so a bit of a while left to go, but again, he's had a pretty unfortunate race as such as poor Scott Malcolm, so we'll count the benefit of the doubt for this one. But yeah, he can just enjoy a nice little ride all the way to the checkered flag.
It's like the victory lap, isn't it? But just he hasn't got victory.
So the P19 lap.
Yeah, but don't be cruel to the poor man. But at the end of the day, I think it's, fair play to Scott. He went in, he got his repairs done. He knows he has to come out, and obviously with the 75% rule, so they've got to finish 75% of the laps to be able to take the points, and he's just done that as well. Milky 1616 there, checkered flags, welcome in. Spinks 1985, Mulder, who's put in YouTube chat.
Nice. Well, yeah, awesome stuff. And of course, when it comes to the championship implications of this race, Delmont came into today 2 points ahead of Adam Delmont, of course, taking the victory here today. And of course, Fast Lap will secure him a bit of an extension in that championship hunt with Delmont. So it's going to grow a little bit more, which is why it's even more important for Adam Delmont, I should say, to nail race 2 in order to mitigate the circumstance. Maybe not sort of equalise the gap in the championship, but at the very least close it, so much so that it's not a double whammy of extensions from Dan Mould.
Yeah, exactly. And the thing is, with the point system in place, in Heat 1, they will get 15 and 12. So Mould will obviously extend that gap to, what's that going to be now, 5 points going into Heat 2. 1 for the fastest lap bonus as well. So all in all, and there's 1 for pole for quali of Heat 1. So there's a lot at stake. There's a lot more points than just the 15 for the win. Them extra couple are the most that are important at the end of the day. But here are the results.
20 minutes of racing action. And it's Dan Mould victorious narrowly, we must add, ahead of Delmont. McNally, his teammate, completes the podium, and Kim-Andre Bjorklund making up a place into 4th. John Brown with a fairly average race there in 5th. Chris Barnes is victorious in the AMS ahead of Nick Kirstens, Deck Crowther, Billy Molan, Stuart Gibbons, the top 10. Paolo Brem, Kev Aylett just in behind 11 and 12 ahead of Carl Jacklett, Stephen Van Kampen, Fraser Garrity, the top 15. Then comes JB Deju, Chris Van der Linde, Cooper Akers and Scott Malcolm, the 19th and final finisher of this race. To be fair, those that started, everyone made it to the checkered flag.
Yeah, they did. And that's the thing. It's always good when that happens. And there was no real issues. I don't think there's been a lot for the stewards to look at the moment as well. I mean, constant communication with them currently, and I think they've done okay. I don't think there was anything drastic in that one.
No, definitely nothing sort of over the limit. Not at all intentional, or nothing that can be put down to sort of mitigating circumstances, lap 1 or anything like that. Things happen. Things easily happen. No malice, no desperation, nothing like that. Poor timing, poor positioning, and that's just how the cookie crumbles, unfortunately, a couple of times. 3 minutes, of course, warm-up between now and race 2. Are you going to hit the track and get some last-minute practice in, or are you just going to stretch your legs?
You would sit there and stretch your legs, wouldn't you?
Yeah, of course.
I'd sit there and chill. You know what I mean?
Because what are you going to... You've done all week of practice, hopefully, right? What are you going to learn in the lap and a half you can get done in this warm-up session?
Nothing.
Not a lot,
Nothing.
right?
Nothing.
So you're better off using it, stretching legs, and making sure you're mentally prepped for race 2, surely.
Yeah. Sit, chill out, get a drink, get a cup of tea, and just was just Mong, really. I don't see anything else that there needs to be, that they need to really do. What else do they need to do in this brief moment with the length of the circuit? There really isn't anything else they need to be doing, to be honest. Just sit and chill.
Yeah, because again, you're going to hit the track, you're going to tire yourself out again. You're not going to have an opportunity to recharge and reset for race 2. You're not going to learn anything from being out on track anyway. It's just a waste of time, and it's actually harming you more so than anything going into that second race. So yeah, just stretch your legs, have a drink, go to the toilet, whatever you need to do. Play some music. I don't know, just run around your room, keep the adrenaline pumping. Whatever it is, just step away from the sim rig a little bit. I mean, clear up some sweat or whatever. I don't know. Just go splash your face with cold water, whatever it might be. I mean, if you got a leather seat, let's be honest, it's going to get sticky, right? So just stretch, get out there, and get ready to come back for race 2 because it is going to be carnage.
Yeah, well, I don't know about carnage. I wouldn't say carnage. The race 1 wasn't carnage. Come on. Got to give him a bit more credit than that, Mr. Sweeney.
Well, no. I didn't necessarily say it with connotations. I meant more sort of exciting. Race 2 is probably going to be carnage, though. I mean, let's be honest. I mean, when is it not?
Yeah, I can't really answer that.
No, exactly. No comment.
No comment.
Yeah, no, fair enough. Nothing more to add.
No,
really.
No, that's the end of that conversation, Mr. Sweeney. Thanks so much for that one.
Yeah.
It's been a pleasure.
Yeah, sweet. James Parfitt leaves the commentary booth. Thank goodness.
Take care. Have a good night. I'm Oski.
Sweet. Perfect. And now that he's gone, that James Parfitt guy. Oh, my God.
Yeah, go on. Keep going.
Well, it's not broadcast friendly, so I can't.
Yeah. Well done to you, dear sir. So we are coming to the end of the practice session here as well. I think I've got a slight issue with the overlay situation, so I am going to try and fight that one in the background here as well. So we've got about 6 seconds left.
Yep, and then of course we'll bring you up grid for race number 2. Reset the clock, 20 minutes on it, and hopefully more action-packed stuff here for round number 6 of the JPB Euro Touring Car Cup. And of course, the beginning of the second half of the season. The grid has been set, and we've taken ourselves over into the race 2 session as such. And of course, all 10 rows of cars lined up. Fraser Geraghty will be joined by Stephen Van Kampen on row number 1 of those 10. Carl Jacklett, Kev Aylett just in behind ahead of Paolo Bremen. Stuart Gibbons on row 3. Billy Moldeck Crowther, row 4 ahead of Nick Kirstens and Chris Barnes rounding off the top 10. Then comes John Brown, Kim Andre Bjorklund, 11th and 12th place on the grid. And then, of course, beyond that, we've got the rest of our race 1 victors as such. So John Brown, Kim Andre Bjorklund closest to the top 10 compared to those around them. And then, of course, further down the grid, you've got the likes of McNally and Delmont just in behind in 13th and 14th. And then, of course, Dan Mould in 15th, JB Deju, Chris Van der Linde, Cooper Akers and Scott Malcolm rounding off the 19-car field that we've got here today. There you can see all of the names finally before we get ourselves to the grid. 20 minutes back on the clock then, James, and, well, let's see who's going to come out on top with the 5 red lights about to illuminate your screens. Geraghty, Van Kampen, the front row. 20 more minutes here at the Nurburgring for the TCR Cup is underway, and a jump start potentially from the front row for Carl Jacklett. That is absolutely diabolical for him, and I'm not really sure if that's the first time we've ever seen it, so he's going to have to serve a penalty for that soon. Van Kampen then, of course, leads Kev Aylett in a net P2, but very, very wide for the lead, and Kev Aylett immediately swooping in to capitalise.
Yeah, he is at the moment. Jacklett needs to get away, I think, and try and make a break. I am trying to sort the paint situation out as well, as it seems to have gone a little bit Pete Tong here once more, so we will try and get this sorted out all in the process. You might see him flash a couple of times, but currently Kev Aylett is in front. Jacklett, we know, is going to have a penalty after that jump start, so I wouldn't be surprised if he will be going into the pits as well, because he will probably have a stop and go or something along them lines to be able to deal with.
Yeah, a black flag that he'll have to serve and then he can take himself back to the circuit. But while he's out in the lead, make the most of it, I suppose. Mitigate the damage that you inevitably will have by the time you do come to serve your penalty. Let's see the progress that we've seen from our front runners. Bjorklund making some big gains. Same too with McNally early on. There they are. Dan Mold's running side by side, of course, with Dalmont there. Both of them emerging out of Dunlop up towards the Schumacher S's. Let's see who's going to be the one to come out on top in this particular excursion and, of course, lead the charge as the race winners of race number 1. Dan Mold having to play second fiddle and potentially under pressure from Chris Barnes, who comes soaring up behind him.
Yeah, Barnesy there has got some pace on them currently as well, so a great little battle with Chris Barnes. Stephen Van Kampen in the mix. He's got Stuart Gibbons behind him and Fraser Garrity with Billy Mole further back than that one, and then obviously Andre Bjorklund in the middle. So yeah, great action taking place here once again, and let's see how it all pans out and see whether the boys at the back in 13th and where is he, 11th and 13th, and they get through. Oh, that was Adam Dalmont. Oh, no.
Oh, wow, that is a lot more people as well, just in behind. It's utter carnage there. I think Van der Linde, Barnes involved, Malcolm, I believe, was the car going round, and it's actually sparked a little bit of carnage here. We've got Cooper Akers trying to put some pressure on to John Brown, and of course, it all started from Dalmont, unfortunately going a little bit wide through that final chicane. Take another look as to how it all happened.
Oh,
Too late
hit
on the brakes.
He was hit.
Was that Mould?
No, it was JB. JB, I think, John Brown on that one. He has given the place back, so maybe he's reacted quicker than the stewards will get hold of him. But unfortunately, it is John Brown there who has gone and got, well, responsible for that one, really.
Yeah, unfortunate, but Dalmont still in the mix. I mean, he only, of course, got the cut track. He's probably served. Dan Mould, of course, going slightly slowly. That's going to allow Dalmont to potentially have a bit of a look here to the left, but not committing to the space, and I'm not sure as to why. Maybe just wanting to opt to work together to get through the rest of the field, which, by the way, is very close. Once they close that gap to Van Kampen, it's only well, a second up to Crowther, then a half a second apiece. Very easy for these guys to just pick them off one by one.
Yeah, it is, and that's the thing. They're going to be able to do that if they can just start making their way through. I think it's like anything, though, isn't it? You know, we sit here and say, oh, yeah, it's really simple, it's really easy for them. But at the end of the day, is it? You know what I mean? Well, I think we're up here in the booth here, Zach, and this is why we're not on the track. Do you know what I mean?
Certainly a reason as to why we're here, yes. Because if we weren't, we'd be doing victory laps for P20 and P21.
Hey,
so
I'm down with that.
Yeah, I mean, that's true. I mean, 21's got a 1 in it, so that's basically first place.
Yeah, exactly.
So, you know, exactly, it's fine. Can't complain with that one one bit. I would like to do some racing. Maybe we might need to stop being so tight, as you said earlier, and get on iRace and do a JPB league. Maybe, I don't know. Who knows what's in store for the future. 15 minutes left of race number 2. So still 3/4 of it left. McNally moving past Mole there, running side by side, just in the very foreground of shot. There you can see as they run their way side by side through the pit straight. It's McNally trying to hang on, but Mole and Bjorklund there in the mix as well. The Audi RS3 looking very, very strong. Also, I think Mole trying to move past the Dutchman of Van Kampen into turn 1 as well. Nicely done from the championship leader. 2 wide, 2 deep between the pair of them, and side by side in that fight for 6th as well between McNally, Mould and Bjorklund. Also getting himself very fisticuffs amongst the lot of them. Very side by side there. Van Kampen fighting back versus Dan Mould, and well, very bold start from the Dutchman.
Yeah, he's got to try and have a go, hasn't he? As we know, it's not all about, and it's been expressed multiple times to these guys as well, the AMs don't have to give way. It's down on the pros to make sure that they can get through. And then obviously, you know, like we have said to some of them as well, obviously if a pro's quicker, you know, don't be silly. So let's see what happens here, and I'm sure the stewards will be looking at that situation that has just taken place, of course, and issuing and, well, penalties where they feel fit to.
Yeah. Again, I'm not sure as to sort of where you can put a lot of that. I mean, again, I'd say that particular incident at the chicane, it has to be sort of John Brown as such, but you can only punish him for tapping Adam Dalmont. You can't punish him for the pile-up that happened after that. Because that is a consequence, not the action. The action was he broke too late and tapped the rear end of Adam Delmont. Whatever happened after or because of that is essentially irrelevant. You punish the incident, not the consequence. So for John Brown, it might just be a case that he sort of gets a 5-second penalty or whatever for making contact with Delmont. But in that own incident, there wasn't really much that happened wrong. I mean, it was an easy mistake to make. It might just be a slap on the wrist because, of course, Delmont was then potentially able to just carry on and it was fine. So sort of no harm, no foul for John Brown as such. So I'd say it's probably going to be a very light penalty if they're judging by the incident in isolation. If they then obviously factor in the other thing in behind it, then it's almost a case of they deem Brown responsible for the pile-up that happened behind, which I wouldn't argue is fair as such. So hopefully that he gets off a little bit light, because at the end of the day, it wasn't that big of a mistake. It was just a small one that into a high-speed chicane can very easily make things go haywire.
Yeah, it can, and as you say, it's the action itself. It's not the after effects of it. So I think overall, they're not, the guys aren't stupid. They're not new to the whole series. They're not new to the service. They are going to be, fairly diplomatic about the whole thing and turn around and go, well, hold on a minute. There was more of an issue, and, they will punish what needs to be punished. They're not going to sit back and go, oh, well, he did that. Well, yeah, he did, but they're going to look at the bigger picture. They're not, going to put it in a polite way. They're not new, shall we say, to the world.
James Parfitt just called the student team old. Brilliant. You know what? That's what I'm going to say. You're not new to the world. That's a good one.
Yeah.
To sugarcoat being old. No, that's great. Nice. Thanks for that. That is, of course, something sort of a wisdom that you learn from obviously not being new to the world, as in your case, James Parfitt. Billy Mole on the back of Kim-Andre Bjorklund, who's on the back of Fraser Geraghty, who's on the back of Adam McNally, 3 seconds behind Stuart Gibbons. And of course, McNally does not want to be a part of this fight. He would much rather be setting his sights forwards.
Yeah, he definitely would be. He's got Delmont behind with Billy Mole there. Dan Mould is further back after, of course, getting caught up in that incident, I think, with Adam Delmont, unless he's made a drastic error somewhere. I wonder if we can pick up on where Dan Mould was in this. So there he is on the inside. That's the initial incident. There's more contact behind. So he does make it through. So why is he at the back? That's going the question, really. Stephen Van Kampen gets past him here, but was it favourable or was it not? It was. And it still was. So, yeah, not entirely sure why Dan's ended up where he's ended up to.
No, gotta be honest. No idea. What it does mean is great news for Delmont. Because for whatever reason, as long as Delmont keeps his nose clean in this race, he's home free for potentially the championship lead. I mean, he's got places lined up, but P5 is definitely on the cards, getting very close there. Nick Kirstens with Kev Aylett, of course, fighting for P2 overall. Kev Aylett wanting that lead in the AMs and maybe wanting to get ahead of Kirstens. There's a bit of a buffer zone back to Stuart Gibbons. It's all getting a little bit rowdy in the background between Bjorklund, McNally, Delmont also into the mix, trying to put himself inside the top 5 and get more points relative to Dan Mould. McNally on the inside of the Norwegian finds his way past quite nicely, gets that 5th place back.
Yeah, he does. McNally there as well. Now he's just got to hold up Bjorklund really and allow Delmont to try and come through, which would be the best way of probably dealing with that, I would have thought, to allow Delmont to put Bjorklund under pressure. There you go. He's trying to give him the draft. Bjorklund's not silly. He is just trying to stay as close to McNally as he possibly can. He's not giving Delmont the room. You can see it's 3.8 seconds to the guys in front, and then we've got a gaggle of cars right down to 12. So, yeah, still kicking off. Still very interesting, and I'll be excited to see how it all works out here.
Absolutely will do. Of course, only into the second half of this race, so time's ticking down, and we're walking out of the woods as opposed to walking into it, which means that you've not got a sort of a ridiculous amount of time to get those moves done, you've got to be making them short and sweet, like Dalmont to the inside of Bjorklund, the Norwegian not really having the best of last couple of laps, losing a couple of places, but Dalmont finds his way through. Let's see how easy of a job McNally makes for him. Of course, both of them going defensive. McNally giving him the slipstream as such to benefit his teammate in order to stay ahead of the Norwegian going into turn 1. Let's see what Bjorklund can do. The outside line never easy into turn 1, but I think Dalmont, of course, going in quite deep. The up and under definitely could be there for Bjorklund. He tries to put himself alongside, but in the end, to no avail. The gap opens up with the inside of turn 2, but that's firmly shut down by Dalmont, or is it Bjorklund? Very aggressive, it must be said.
He's made of Viking stuff, sir. He's going to be, isn't he? He's made of Viking spirit, is Kim Andre Bjorklund. It's not a quitting scenario for him. He wants to go and win. He wants to go and take as many points as possible, and he will do it, and he will put his nose where it's not wanted. He will give it a good old go, and you know, that's just the way it is. So let's see how he gets on and whether or not he manages to make his way forward here as well. But we've got Kev Aylett battling it out currently for that second place overall here. So yeah, some great action still developing throughout the field.
Not long left for it to continue to develop, so once again, time ticking down, opportunities wearing thin, and desperation may be starting to creep in for some of these drivers. I have to say, well done to Carl Jacklett. He's so good at these types of races where it all just falls into place for him. He drives right at the start. I mean, he did jump start, didn't he?
Yeah, well, it looked like he jump started,
but I swear you have to serve it within 3 laps.
I'll tell you what we'll do. Let's go and pick him up. I'm sure he jumped. No.
I think he just got a really good... I think P1 just got a really slow start.
Maybe he didn't, because it might have been, as you say, just Fraser Garrity not actually going anywhere.
I think that's what it was. I think those that are around him just got a good start, and relative, of course, to Garrity, it looked as though he'd jump started, but yeah, he just didn't move. So Carl Jacklett actually looking very, very strong, 3.5 seconds clear for the lead, and once again, another race like this that has fallen into place for him. He's racking up wins left, right and centre, particularly in these race 2 events, because he's so consistent, and when things go his way, he doesn't waste these opportunities. He doesn't take them for granted.
No, he doesn't, and that's the thing. He makes the most and the best of every situation that he can get. And I think that's the thing. He makes the most of it. He makes sure that he takes the chances in front of him, you know, because he knows he's not going to get the chance every single week. He knows he's not going to get it every single day, every single round. So while he is going to have it, he does make sure that he gets it. So fair play to him, really.
Yeah, I mean, he's driven superbly. Can't take anything away from him one bit. And again, I'm sure he'll be a very pleasant bloke in the interview room when it comes to, of course, the spirits of, once again, another successful evening. I do feel bad, though, for Dan Mold. For whatever reason that saw him down to 16th place, has now obviously put him firmly out of the running for this evening. Of course, that win in race 1 is probably the only silver lining of this evening. But for Dalmont to get second, and as it stands, a P5, surely the championship is going to swing back his way. I mean, what is it going to be, a 7-8 point deficit? Now, obviously, it was 2 coming in, and then, of course,
it was
Sam Mold got 6.
Yeah, it was.
She got fast up as well.
Oh, so 6 then, yeah. I still can't see what happened to him. That's the thing. I still can't see what happened to Dan Mold.
I don't really have...
Let me reach out. You keep talking, I'll reach out and see.
Awesome. Beautiful. I mean, we need the answers, because we didn't see him go into the pit lane. No, we didn't. He hasn't come into the pit lane at all, or has he? You know, he has. He's been in the pit lane.
He stopped for repairs. But
so he's had a crash.
Well, clearly he has, but there he is in the pits.
unless it's a stop-go, but for what?
I don't know. I'm trying to reach out and find out because it seems a little bit strange. He's in the AMG arena. I can't work it out at the moment. I'm trying to reach out and see if we know what that scenario was and what that solution was, but why is he all the way down there? I think, to be honest, that is not long enough for a stop-go. Pit lane time's too short. His overall time's too short as well, and his stop time's too short. So unless he picked up damage, that's the only thing I can think of.
Yeah, peculiar one. I'm sure he'll jump in and potentially talk to us in the interview room about it. But 3 minutes 30 left to go. The penultimate lap of this race then as it stands. Side by side just behind as well. That's Van Kampen versus Brownlee. Final place inside the top 10. As Delmont is searching for a podium place in this race. Of course, with Kev Aylett, won't really make much difference in regards to the points, of course, with Aylett being an AM compared to Delmont in the pros. But still definitely going to be nice for him to secure a podium place overall, just in class. And Kev Aylett probably doing the sensible thing there, not really putting up too much of a battle with Stuart Gibbons hot in pursuit with Bjorklund and McNally. Not going to be wise for Aylett to waste time fighting Delmont.
No, it definitely isn't. And obviously with Aylett in the AMs and Delmont in the pros, but Aylett, he's more worried about Stuart Gibbons. That's his next adversary, and Billy Mole, that's his next adversary. You know, there's no need for him to fight it if he's going to still go and take the points. Cooper Akers is still trying to get hold of Fraser Garrett. We've got Malcolm behind that as well. So, yeah, for me, I think at the end of the day, fair play Kev Aylett, because his adversary is 2 cars behind him. And we've only got 1 and 1 more here as well. So, yeah, fair play.
Yeah, beautiful race, beautiful evening of racing so far that we've seen. And the perfect sort of sail to the JPB TCR Cup. For those, of course, if this is your first time watching, hello, welcome to JPB. If you do want to get yourself involved in future seasons of the TCR Cup, I don't really see why you wouldn't want to. If you like driving front-wheel drive cars, then whack yourself on and get to the grid, because some of the best racing that you'll ever see, very, very close stuff, led by passionate sim racers that, of course, are here because they enjoy it and want that competitive field to race against. And with it being pros and AMs, you're never without a battle for a decent position in class. Every one of these drivers can fight for a top 5 or a podium, maybe even sometimes a win in their respective classes.
Yeah, and that's the thing. We've seen it before. So, you know, you're never going to come in and not have anyone to race. You're going to always make sure that you have somebody to battle out with within this field. You know, Kim Andre Bjorklund, new into the season, he's come in with a pace and with fire in his belly, to be honest, and he's now battling away as well. And that's the thing, Stephen Van Kampen in the pros, he's always got somebody to battle. Cooper Akers in the AMs, another one who's on a learning curve season, he's always got somebody to battle as well. Scott Malcolm, so there's always somebody there for these guys to fight with, and I think at the end of the day, fair play there as well.
Yeah, respect is always given. Things go wrong. You know, you're never going to have a perfect championship where no one drives into anyone, because people make mistakes, cars run wide, especially these touring cars. The front wheel drive, a lot of strain going to those front tyres doing the turning, and of course all the powering as well. Side by side here, Bjorklund versus McNally. This is of course for 4th place in the pros, 5th place overall. Onto the final lap of this race, and Bjorklund able to stay ahead.
Yeah, he is at the moment. I'm not going to know for how much longer. Crowther's now right up behind Mole there. You can see Van Kampen going on a big old defence with John Brown. Van Kampen there as well. He's going to send Brown round the long way. We'll keep an eye on them as they come down towards us here. Van Kampen is going to try and go later on the brakes. Is JB going to be able to go later as well? He is. They've both gone late, and now they're going to be literally near enough side by side. Van Kampen sends it in a little bit, just unsettles John Brown at that moment there.
Yeah, just catching him off potentially very late on the brakes is Mr. Brown. He's driving as quick as he possibly can to, of course, get back onto the back of Van Kampen, because no one wants to finish just outside the top 10. That is not fun for anyone. But unfortunately, one of these two are going to have to. John Brown wants it to not be him. Half a lap left to go, though, for Carl Jacklett before he secures victory.
Yeah, Carl has just been unstoppable, hasn't he? And for Kirstens and Delmont, obviously, Delmont gives him a little nose tap there. But great job from him. Delmont's moved himself up into 2nd place. Carl Jacklett, well, he's been a dominant force in a weird kind of way. You know, he's been absolutely incredible, and I think fair play to Carl Jacklett. Well done to you, sir. You've been amazing. Zach?
Goodness me, that's twice in 2 days I've done that. I've unmuted my mic, but in doing so have muted my mic. Basically, I was bigging up Carl Jacklett, this man right here, of course, running his way through. A third of the lap left to go in race number 2. Carl Jacklett with a sensational run of form in that Honda Civic will once again take himself to the top step in a race 2 event. I mean, his championship run in the pros has been phenomenal. No, he's not been fighting at the top end race after race, but he's made the most of every opportunity that's come his way. He's going to see the checkered flag first for race 2 hit the Nurburgring and leads the way ahead of Adam Delmont, who might well be able to seize control in the championship. Kim Bjorklund in 4th, Kev Aylett, McNally, all of them 3 wide across the line. Bjorklund was the one then to take 4th place. Kev Aylett winning in the AMS. And McNally just missing out on the, of course, that top 5 overall. Stuart Gibbons and Billy Moll round off the podium. Of course, we'll talk you through the final finishing order in a few moments' time. But James, as far as race 2 goes, not bad.
No, it wasn't quite the carnage you had, you know, that you predicted, dear sir, shall we say. Because let's face it, you did predict a little bit of carnage happening in race 2. And then really, apart from the start, and I'll give you the start, that was it.
Yeah, it was. I mean, these guys were on their best behavior, got to be honest. I mean, things spread out, things calmed down, and they kept themselves fairly clean. So really good job to them. And, of course, we'll bring up the results.
Just waiting for
Chris
Barnesy
to
on his
cross
own
the
little...
line. How far away is it? Not a quarter of a lap. Here we go. We'll wait for him.
Well, we ain't got a choice. It's not like...
No, he can take his time. It's not like we're waiting or anything, mate. Just...
Unfortunately, I can't go any quicker without him coming over the line. So I can't even bring you up the results without him doing that. Oh, well, there you go.
Oh, doing that. I mean, fair play. That's one way to do it.
Yeah, I don't exactly know what that was about there. I don't know if he had a bit of a moment somewhere that's put him far at the back. Oh, it may have been this moment. Yeah.
That'll do it.
That'll do it. Where is it? How did this one pan out? This was right at the beginning. So this is where he got... Wow, he got sideswiped from Paolo Brem. He then sideswipes back. He then gets it, and then he gets it again. So that would do it for Barnes, I think, on that one. But we can bring you up the results. There you go, Mr. Sweeney. It should be on the screen for you.
Thank you very much. Carl Jacklett victorious then once more. Adam Delmont 2nd place this evening. Consistent as ever and retaking that championship lead at the front of the pros. Nick Kirstens rounds off the podium ahead of Kim-Andre Bjorklund in 4th. Kev Aylett victorious in the AMS ahead of Adam McNally in 6th. Stuart Gibbons, Billy Moll, Dick Crowther 7-8-9 ahead of Stephen Van Kampen the top 10. John Brown narrowly missing out in the end by half a second. Coop Breakers just in behind in P12 ahead of Fraser Garrity, Scott Malcolm and Dan Mould down in P15, a huge statement and a huge dent to his championship hopes. Paolo Brem, Chris Van Linder, Chris Barnes and JB Deju, the 19-car field that we had here today. Of course, James, we're going to be taking ourselves to the interview room, then we can have a chat with a couple of our drivers. Should be quite insightful, hopefully.
Hopefully. Let's go over and get ourselves sorted out here as well. And it could be quite an interesting one. See what people have got to say for themselves here, Zach. But overall... Who do you want to have a chat with?
Well, I mean, it's just surprised me. I'm just whacking him in. I think starting with Carl Jacklett might not be a bad shout. He had a beautiful race too, of course. Carl, I mean, these interviews are becoming more and more regular. Race number 2, mate, smashed it.
Yeah, it's becoming a bit of a habit.
I mean, I don't want to say it, but it was. Your start was so good. We'd thought you jump started. Honestly, you reacted like so well, and beyond that in race 2, you just didn't look under threat.
Uh-oh. Can't hear you.
This track has got a different grip level on the start to quite a few other tracks, so I did map second clutch for it. So yeah, it just got off the line really well.
Fair enough. That's all it is then. Great reaction times, and then a second clutch going the way of Carl Jacklett. Of course, going forward. Go on.
Oh,
Yeah.
Again.
Hello.
That's fine. I think there's just a couple of technical difficulties. Anyway, going forward in the championship, of course, round number 6 here today. In a week's time, we'll head to Aragon. Are we going to see another race 2 victory?
I'm not here. I'm afraid.
Okay, Monza, the week after.
I've got to do some. I've got to do some work. The week after Monza, I tend to do reasonably well at quick tracks, so hopefully Monza will be good.
I'm sure.
But we shall see.
I don't doubt it one bit.
See. But,
I'm sure you'll be back.
Yeah. I'm really pleased with the past few weeks. It's been great. James has said, "Oh, Mr. VR's just gone funny." James has just said that when I moved up from AMs to pros, how would I cope? Well, I think 3 wins on the trot in race 2 is answered the question.
it definitely has.
Racking him up.
Yeah, the thing is, we didn't have anything bar superlatives to say about you last season. So I'm not surprised that you've got quicker and quicker as the season gone on, Carl, to be blatantly honest. And I big you up for that. And I sit back and watch the improvements, and it's fair play to you. Fair play. I've got no issues with when people move up and they do what they're going to do. We never doubted it. We never doubted it from your performances last season.
Yeah, the elbows have been out a bit more where needed, but trying not to have them out stupidly so.
That's it.
Not chicken wings.
It's all a learning process.
Yeah, not chicken wings.
Nicely
No,
tucked
I'm
in.
really chuffed with that. Really chuffed.
You should be, Carl. Really, really good stuff. Before we let you go, of course, any shout outs you want to give? I'm sure you've got plenty of fans now. You have three wins on the trot.
A big shout out to photomedia.uk, my sponsor.
Awesome stuff, Carl. Well, of course, we won't see you next week, but we'll see you the week after, and I'm sure you'll be taking a 4th.
That'd be nice, wouldn't it?
Would be. Take care, Carl. See you soon.
Cheers.
Carl Jacklet then, victor of race number 2. Kev Aylett, of course, in the AMS, the victor of his respective class as well. And not a bad race at all. Played it really well, in fairness. Just talk us through your evening as a whole, Kev, because I think you drove really cleverly, particularly with how you handled the overlap between the pros and the AMS.
I was very slow in practice in the first race, so I just had to measure my pace and thought if I just drive a sensible race and just pick my battles where I need to, and with different leagues with the divisions, so it's just a case of these guys are clearly faster than me. I don't need to let them go, but let them go and use their draft and push them along because Gibbo was pushing me on in that last race, especially as well.
So it just allowed you really to benefit yourself. And you came on top with the victory. So, of course, very well done to you in those respects. And, of course, when it comes to your championship hopes, I mean, you came into today 3 points behind Cooper Akers. Dan Paples isn't here. So a decent score tonight has sort of re-sparked what might well be a championship campaign.
Absolutely. I hope I was in the championship before the race. I've been pretty consistent all season, so it's just picking them off when they need to be picked off. I've got a nice little battle going on with Cooper. He has promised to give himself a mohawk if he beats me in the championship. So there's a bit of an incentive there to actually let him beat me just for the sake of it happening. So we'll see what comes at the end of the season. But no, I think we're in the hunt. There's a good couple of few races coming up where I know I'm pretty decent at as well. So I'll be able to take the fight to Peoples as well and hopefully come out triumphant come season end.
Very well. I mean, speaking of the races to come, in a week's time we'll head to Aragon, the outer circuit, so a little bit more of a fast-paced circuit. How are you thinking about your chances around there?
Well, my plucky little Veloster, which I'm never going to change, it does me well. So as long as I do the similar kind of race, I think, over the weekend, play it safe, play it clean, pick people off where I can pick people off and just stay with the guys in front. Use race 1 to your advantage, something that Cole in the last race and has done for the last 3 weeks exceptionally well. Be average in the first race and then nail it in the second and just put yourself in the mix. That's how you get your points. Get a good average over the 2 races and you're laughing.
Yeah, don't want to peak too early as such, for the most part, particularly for you guys as well. That's really how you sort of earn your money. getting those good results on average, and of course over the course of the whole season. Not easy to do, it must be said. Well, Kev, thank you very much for joining us. Before we let you go,
Pleasure.
any shout outs you want to give?
Shout out to Cooper and Billy. Billy, my teammate this season, doing a great job in his first season touring cars that he's ever done, and obviously Cooper for pushing hard in his first season of touring cars as well. These guys are racing week in, week out, and top blokes, and keep pushing hard. And big thanks to Gibbo for letting me win that last race.
Of course, Kev, take care, mate.
See you later, guys.
Some stuff. Kev Aylett, victor of race number 2 as well. Very chirpy, very happy, and very motivated, must be said there, James.
Yeah, he's always been, upbeat about a lot of things. I do have to give Kev a shout out because he does do the admin work for me in the TCRs. He's the calendars, everything possible. So he's taken it completely, on board and does an absolutely incredible job. And to be honest, without Kev, this TCRs probably wouldn't have happened. He's gone out and he's had free reign to do whatever he wants, and he's done pretty much an amazing job. So fair play to him as well. Bigger and better things, of course, coming within JPB over the next few months. We've got the Endurance Series that will be kicking off in May. We've got the 100% NASCAR Series that's going to be a community-based NASCAR series. There will be teams from multiple communities putting in teams for it. It will be 100% calendar, 100% length, taking part on a Saturday with multiple teams. So that will be the JPB NASCAR Community Cup, because there are lots of communities coming on board for that one as well. So lots more of exciting things. Don't forget, look out for next season as well for the Clios. That will be undergoing a mass overhaul as well. There will be changes coming into that one. The GT4s again, Stu Rice has come on board and admin in that, and he's sorted out all the calendar and everything up and running, ready to go for next season. TCRs, of course, we'll be looking at bringing them back, and then of course we will be on board with the endurance and also the NASCAR series as well. So yeah, lots happening with JPB over the next few months.
Looks to be the case, and a lot of exciting prospects, it must be said. So of course, make sure you are sticking around, make sure you're up to date with everything that goes on in the world of JPB, because well, we tick off pretty much every box that of course can be ticked in sim racing. Unfortunately, when it comes to the TCRs, this Friday evening is going to have to draw to a close, but not to worry. We'll be back in a week's time when we head to round number 7, Motorland Aragon, of course, in Spain, the outer loop. And I cannot wait to see how the championship continues to unfold with the dramas that we've seen in the pros. Dan Papel's absence today, spicing it up in the AMs, and the teams, of course, as close as ever. My name has been Zach Sweeney, James Parfitt been alongside me in the commentary booth. But for now, take care, and it's goodbye.